Um, Hello, Sabrina. I was just saying how you look like you're radiating and glowing today.
I know, thank you.
My pleasure. For those of the members who don't know you, do you want to give yourself a proper intro so that because your backstory is good and that what you're currently doing is brilliant, and then we get into the nitty gritty of why you're different and it's worth changing supply chain potentially.
Yeah, so bit of an intro. CEO at Sourcepay International. Initially, just covered UK payroll. Sort of mission was to be a payroll provider that is different in the industry. A well trusted provider, which is, as you know, sometimes hard to find. So, background, worked at many sort of large payroll providers, Parasol being one of them, 5 years. So, really understood the compliance aspect of payroll in the UK. And obviously, when SourcePay began, I wanted to make sure that all of those compliance elements were implemented into the business. So yeah, tons of things that we've been working on. Obviously, we've had the whole international expansion as well, which has been really interesting, really exciting to get into. As you know, Gary, the recruitment industry is just super saturated in the UK now. So there's a big old world out there on the international scale, and we just really want to help our clients to be able to expand globally and offer them that support with
So
HR and functionality in that space.
So I know that you're making massive waves. Got a lot of people who are just moaning that they're not getting any business about payroll because I think you're gobbling it up. But I don't think that many people know that the differences. And to be fair, I did when we started talking. It was a little bit of revelation. Some of the stuff you're doing, from compliance through to um, it was bank accounts. The
Yeah.
whole you do the whole gambit. Should we just go through them? The things that make you guys different.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say number one, firstly, it was really important for me to we sort of did all the bells and whistles in terms of the sort of standard compliance accreditations that you can get in the UK. So SafeRec accredited, FCSA accredited. We also got ourselves a GLAA license, so the Gangmasters Labour Abuse Authority, so we could literally work in absolutely any industry, which obviously that includes agriculture, etc. So it was important for us to have the standard sort of compliance pack. But then for me, I just wanted to take it that step further. I noticed that there wasn't any providers out there that actually held um, registration with the Financial Conduct Authority, and they weren't regulated by that authority. So that was really important for me to try and just take our compliance that one step further. So what that FCA regulation covers us for is the internal PEO. For UK businesses. So, if, for instance, Gary, you turned around and was like, do you know what, I actually can't be asked to pay all my staff, or it's costing me too much, I need to outsource. We can essentially be your outsourced in-house provider. You know, all your staff wouldn't know any different. They think they're being payrolled by your company directly, but we just basically take care of the rest. And outsourcing it actually allows you to save a lot of money as a business owner. So we applied for that FCA regulation, which is due to come in hopefully over the next 6 months. It takes about 18 months for everything to be processed. So really excited about that. It's just that added layer of protection for businesses. So I'd say that's number one. as
And to be fair, that's massive. Given I know that somebody went bump last week, and I didn't find out who, but it's a very difficult world that you live in, with
Yeah,
some of your competition doing less than honourable things with Phoenix and stuff. So it's
yeah.
nice that people realise that this is. I mean, this is a massive leap forward for your sector. I can't think of anybody else who's got that, by the way.
Yeah, and I don't know anyone either. And I think the at the moment, I think, like you said, there's payroll companies going pop left, right, and centre. I think it's the industry itself has got sometimes can have a bad reputation. And I think that's unfortunate. And my goal was, right, how can we prove this with transparency? And again, all of those accreditations, being part of the FCA, that was all part of our sort of initial plan to get to just have that sort of stamp of approval, that trust with clients, so they don't have to think twice. So yeah, so really important to us, and we're excited about that. I believe that when we do have that come through, we will be the only payroll provider to be regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, which is super exciting.
Really good. Well done, you, by the way. What's but there's a whole load of things you guys are doing. Do you want to talk about the banks and bank accounts?
Yeah, so with the pending regulation, what that actually allowed us to do was go that step further, and what really what came to mind with me, as if I was a business owner in recruitment or any sector really, and I was looking to outsource my payroll, sending over huge amounts of funds each week, no matter whether you're using the largest payroll provider in the UK or the smallest, you are always putting your money at risk when you send it over to a third party. That's a given. So I really wanted to find a way of us to be able to protect our clients and just ring fence those funds so they never have to sort of question, what's going on, where are they. So the FCA regulation, which is pending, allowed us to actually open up a client account with NatWest. Now that client account is really a core part of our USP as a business, because like I said, it protects those funds. It ring fences them. So right up until the point of that hitting your contractor's bank account, you have full access to retrieve those funds back at any time. So no matter what happens to us as a business, if we went pop, touching words, if we went pop or anything like that was to happen to us, your funds would be completely protected. And again, I don't know anyone else in the industry that has that type or that layer of protection for their clients.
So I love this. So effectively, what you're doing is anything which could possibly be an objection or a worry, you've just gone and punched it on the nose and been direct about it. What about deposits?
Yeah. So another thing, when we branched out into international payroll, and it was really important for me to, for us as a business to be able to give our clients the flexibility to go global, because I could see that was the way that the market was going, especially in recruitment. So when we launched our initial global payroll, I wanted there to be something in there that was different from what the other providers were doing. Now, because you're at much higher risk when you're doing international payroll, it's very different to the UK under the umbrella model. There are very strict legislations in Europe, across the globe, US. So I'm going to say about 95% of providers ask you for an upfront 1 month deposit. Some of them ask for 2 months, some of them even ask for 3. Just to give them, the companies do it to give them that for themselves, a layer of protection in case you turned around one day and said, actually, the client's terminating the worker, we're not paying for their 30 days notice period, in which case you would have a deposit there to hold. Now, we've taken a different approach to it, and we wanted to do this, one, to be able to offer something different to our clients. So we do not ask for any upfront deposits at all, and we do that because we like to be completely transparent with our clients at the get-go. So I think the issue is a lot of businesses will take an upfront deposit but not be fully transparent about the fees and costs with hiring someone under an EOR solution overseas. And there are a lot of costs. There's a lot of employer costs that are associated with that. And we've put together a full assignment schedule compliance pack for each individual worker, which is what gets sent to our clients and signed before any assignment starts. And that just gives you full transparency on what the costings will look like, what your monthly what your monthly invoices will look like. And we believe that the way that we work and the structure that we've built allows us to be able to give that offering of no deposits up front. So really handy, especially for recruitment businesses who essentially aren't going to be able to get that upfront 1 month deposit from their clients. Usually recruitment agencies are working on 30-day payment terms anyway. So you're talking about potentially having to upfront 2 months worth of payroll and employer costs as well. So yeah, it helps with cash flow. It helps our agencies, and we do tend to attract a lot of business just on the framework that we use for our international.
And you work pretty much everywhere these days, so you guys must be a font of all knowledge.
So we have individual teams for each country that we have entities in. We work across the globe. So every state in the US, we cover 159 countries, all of Europe. So we have individual compliance teams for each of our entities. We've been lucky enough to have investors and who have helped us obviously grow that portfolio of entities overseas. But every contractor, every client that works with us has a dedicated compliance team within that entity that are on the ground within that country to give full HR support and payroll and tax support where they see fit. So
Something just hit me. So if I know a couple of businesses who are placing contractors working remotely from all over Europe into the States. Which team do I speak to? Is it the US team or is it wherever the contractor is based? How do you guys separate that internally?
So our HQ is at Liverpool Street. So our the initial touch point for our clients would always be our UK team. If they prefer to speak to our US team, for instance, because of time difference, whatever it may be, we're happy to do that and put them forward there. But majority our HQ is in Liverpool Street. So we've got 2 offices, England. So one Liverpool Street, the other's in Runcorn in Cheshire, where our head of sales sits, and so does our head of ops. So UK team covers that. And then what they do is our global onboarding team will pass the individual worker over to that specific entity. And it's really great because a lot of the time those contractors will be able to onboard in their native language. We have a huge office in India, which we do a lot of work with. So they onboard all of our workforce in Indian. So it's really useful when the contractor needs that sort of one-to-one care and support. So typically that's what the journey would look like.
Is there anything else? I'm sure there was one other thing I can't remember. But what else? Because that's a pretty compelling argument right now for people to at least have you as one of 2, as suppliers, if not just one of one. Well, is there anything else that you would say that as we kind of wrap up, that is the most compelling thing from your perspective as to why people should work with you?
Yeah, I think that the fact is that we like to assess and help our clients before initially even getting someone over the line in terms of an assignment or registering them with us. So we have a hotline where clients or prospective clients or people who don't someone who just doesn't work with us or just wants to dip their toes in the water and find out some information about hiring Joe Blogs in America or wherever it may be. They can call us. We can have a full sort of breakdown as to what those costs will look like, what typically what the liabilities are between you and your end client, the supply chain. So we offer that kind of support as well. And I think one of the main things as well is the health check that we offer. So typically, especially in UK, there are so many agencies that have hired workers overseas on a freelance basis. They've paid them directly. They thought this is easy, low cost. I'll pay the contractor their gross salary, and then I don't need to worry about anything else. Now, I'm seeing more often than not prospective clients or clients coming to us and saying, we've been stung with misclassification penalties, which is huge, especially in Germany now. It's they're being dished out left, right, and centre. And that is because due diligence hasn't been done on the get-go. So what we do, we obviously assess the workers' practices, on-site practices. We speak to the agency. We make sure they're receiving the correct information, the correct due diligence, because if anyone does checks, it's just going to shoot through the supply chain. So it's just offering that extra sort of care. And we're seeing a lot of agencies come to us now going, can you do a full health check? Can you look at all of my all of my contractors, and tell me whether they're rightly so in a freelance solution, or if we should move them over to an EOR solution. So yeah, really handy to have that. And we do that free of charge as well, that health check. And
Because you know you're going to pick, because you know you're going to pick up loads of work. Because a lot of the time, not everyone's done it as compliant as you guys.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think one of the main things that we're really proud of at the moment, that we actually launched probably about 2 months ago, we've got a international calculator, which you can sign up to free of charge. And what that does, it gives you full breakdown calculations for anywhere across the globe. So really handy for especially recruitment businesses when you need to essentially pitch your fee or your services. You want to make sure that you're including all of the appropriate costs. And I think one of the main things that we used to see and what drove us to build this calculator was, one, my team was wasting so much time coming back to agencies with calculations. And really sometimes it's just for them to have a little bit of a play around with, so they can figure out, where does my margin sit here? How much am I going to make from this deal? But the calculator actually allows you to work backwards. So for instance, your client says to you, right, I've got a €10,000 budget for this worker. That has to include everything: employer cost, salary, your margin. It allows you to work backwards. So you can go, right, okay, let me deduct my margin. Let me deduct the employer costs. This is what I can essentially offer someone as a gross salary. And then that gives you scope to go out and find the correct person on the correct rate. More often than not, before we launched this calculator, and sometimes we were having, recruitment agencies come to us and go, oh my God, we've hired this worker under an EOR solution. I've completely wiped out my entire margin because I didn't know the costs of putting someone through this type of solution. So again, it feeds into our transparency sort of framework where you get everything up front. You get the full compliance assignment schedule sent to you for each worker, and you have that international payroll calculator that you can just constantly have a play around with to make sure that you're pitching and charging the right amount to your clients.
I think you've done a brilliant job, both in the business and presented it today. Who's our point of contact for anything and everything with regards to international payroll?
So I would say that we've got two main points of contact I would recommend. So one, our head of sales, which is Lindsay. So she's just lindsay@sourcepay.co.uk. And then you've also got our head of accounts and operations, which is Claire Martin, and she's claire@sourcepay.co.uk.
Brilliant. Anything else that I've forgotten to ask you?
I think I've covered pretty much everything that I can think of right now.
You're knackered. You did
I'm
really
knackered,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Right. Look, thank you very much for giving us your time. I'll make sure that everyone gets to see this. And thank you.
Thanks, Gigi. No, I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll catch up with you soon.
Right. Cheers. Thanks, Em. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.